Hello everyone, it is Toby from TIJ Music and welcome to a brand new video. Today it is time for an album review of a group who I personally think have a really good claim to being the most underrated group of all time. The group, Thin Lizzy, the album, their 1976 effort, Jailbreak. One of the most underrated groups of all time, as I've said, and this is very much their breakthrough album, particularly in America. So the sixth Thin Lizzy album. Before that we had the self-titled debut, Shades of a Blue Orphanage, Vagabonds of the Western World. Now, apart from the odd track, the first three I'm not really bothered about. Then album 4, Nightlife and Fighting, was number 5. The two I've just mentioned didn't really generate sales, so Vertigo Records gave Thin Lizzy one last chance. This album released on the 26th of March 1976. The band worked with John Alcock as a producer. Not really heard of him. He produced Jailbreak and Johnny the Fox. Don't know if he produced anything else, but I know he's worked with Alice Cooper and a few other groups, but nobody particularly memorable. But the album was produced well, so you've got to give it to him. And the band actually worked through February of 1976 to make the album, so incredibly short between February being the month they recorded the album, then releasing it on the 26th of March, so quite a big workload. And I know both Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson said that the time frame that they recorded the album in, it affected some of the tracks, at least they thought, adversely, and they said that if they'd have been given a bit more time to improvise, then it might not have sounded so rigid, but I don't think it sounds rigid, so personal opinion, but Brian Robertson doesn't really like his guitar tone on the album. But this album was a big payoff for Thin Lizzy, and if this hadn't have been big, then maybe we wouldn't be talking about Thin Lizzy as the brilliant act they are today. It went to number 10 in the UK album charts, went gold in the UK, sold 100,000 over here, and sold 500,000 in the US. Huge US breakthrough. Went gold over there with 500,000 sales. And obviously it brought successful singles in the title track, Jailbreak, went to number 8 in the... number 31, sorry, in the UK. The Boys Are Back in Town, which is the other huge single, which everyone knows, and it's one of them that we don't really need to hear again. But Boys Are Back in Town went to number 8 in the UK, went to number 12 in the US chart. So a huge album full of classic tracks. Just run through the track list very quickly. So we've got the Jailbreak, the title track, Angel from the Coast, Running Back, Romeo and the Lonely Girl and Warriors on side 1 of the old LP, of course. And then The Boys Are Back in Town, Fight or Fall, Cowboy Song and Emerald on side 2. Here's the back cover with all the personnel. So it is the third album with this lineup of Phil Lynott, Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson on that dual guitars, and then Brian Downey, the two everlasting members, Brian Downey and Phil Lynott on drums, and of course vocals, acoustic guitar and bass guitar. There's a huge write-up on the back which I thought was quite cool about the story. The warrior locks himself into his video scanner and gazes throughout the universe, but we haven't really got time to read through all that, so if you want to pause the video here and have a read for yourself, that's absolutely fine. But my album reviews have been going a little bit too long recently, past 20 minutes, so I want to get straight into it today, and that's exactly what we will do with the first track, the title track. Actually, we'll get the cover out first. Just have a quick look at the cover and talk about the cover. Really nice cover. It's a gatefold cover, so it's not in the best quality, to be honest. I paid under £10 for this, but it opens up to the full picture which you're used to seeing. Obviously, that's the one you're used to seeing, and then inside it is the full cover, but not going to go over that too much. And then I've showed you the back cover already, so I can put the vinyl away now. I can put the vinyl safely back in its protective sleeve, but I think it's Jim Fitzpatrick who designed the cover, given that it's his name on it and the year 76. Why does the record never go back in the sleeve when you want it to? It always goes back in normally, but when you're under time pressure, it never bloody goes back in. Hold that thought. Right, the record's away now. Let's start to review the music. So we start with the title track, Jailbreak. Oh, that guitar opening is brilliant. Bow! Down, down, down. Oh, it's brilliant. Really good guitar opening. Great beat, great lyrics. Tonight there's gonna be a brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. A real great opener. This, of course, opens live and dangerous as well, and it's a really good track. Of course, one of Thin Lizzy's better known tracks. I said in the introduction that it did very well in the charts, and interestingly, had Running Back on the B-side. In my opinion, one of the great rock tracks of all time. One of the great classic rock tracks. A lot of radio stations still play, still get some airplay, and obviously this achieved far more retrospective acclaim than the 31 the number 31 it got to in the UK singles chart. But for me, 10 out of 10 to start the album. Absolutely awesome stuff. A great track. So we move on very swiftly to track number 2. There's 9 tracks, as I've said before. This is track 2, Angel from the Coast. And this is where I bring out my little booklet. Not associated with the album in any way. But in the 70s, my dad picked this up from a record shop. Really nice stuff. Philip Lynott. It is a lyrics book. And some really nice illustrations in here, so I thought I'd get them out. And I think Angel from the Coast is in here. Jailbreak's not in here. That's why I've got it out now. So, page number 30. Really nice illustration here. There we go. The Sacred Heart is bleeding. Go tell the Holy Ghost. That's the one. The junkie is still cheating. Leaves you dead past the post. And Sally's stuck to playing poker. And the Joker is her favourite card. Maybe that's the... No, that's our Joker. No, the Joker's her favourite card. No, that's the second verse. Alright, let me get away with it. But lovely illustration there. And brilliant lyrics. It's another great guitar lick to open the track. Down, 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 down. I mean, my interpretation of these are awful, but still really great guitar lick to open the track. Particularly great lyrics as well. It's worth noting that Philip Lynott was a real poet. His lyrics, I mean, this lyric book is quite literally like a poetry book. There's some brilliant, again, it's poetry, it really is. Robertson co-writes this one. Really great storytelling here, and great drumming from Brian Downey as well. That's something that's very much underplayed in Thin Lizzy. You remember Phil Lynnott's lyrics and the bass and the dual guitar being a real highlight, but never really mentioned the quality of Brian Downey's drumming. And this is a track where the drumming is really good. Another really great track, very memorable track. 10 out of 10 once again. So we now move on to what was the B-side to Jailbreak, and that is Running Back. And this really highlights how Thin Lizzy were really in a genre of their own. It mixes jazz, blues, folk, and rock all in one, really. It's got a saxophone, for goodness sake. So he very much mixes all those genres, but sounds good, crucially. I'm going to rate this at a 9 out of 10. Not as good as the previous tracks, but very catchy, great melodies, and great guitar riff as well. Really great lyrics. Again, I don't know if this track is in this little booklet. Yeah, it is, number 33. But it's just a really great track. Hang on. Running Back. I'm a fool now that it's over. Can you guess my name? I make my money singing songs about you. It's my claim to fame. As I say, it's a bit more of a folky track, but another great track again. It's not one of the heavier ones, but it's awesome nonetheless. So 9 out of 10 to Running Back. It was actually... there, if I put my teeth back in, initially chosen to be the single ahead of The Boys Are Back in Town, because that was seen as far too aggressive to play on the radio station. So Phil Lynott and John Alcock decided to employ session musicians to add a bit more of a commercial feel to the track, and it's fair to say that Brian Robertson was a bit against it. He said that, again, apologies if I don't maintain eye contact, so I've got some notes on a document here. So apparently I took enormous offence to the changes. I couldn't understand why they'd pay this guy a fortune just for playing what he did. Listen to it and tell me it's not bollocks. He didn't. Robertson didn't actually finish on the didn't play on the finished version of the song, and Tim Hinckley is not credited but did play on this track. So very interesting. And apparently, Running Back was very much influenced by Van Morrison. This is Phil Lynnott's words now. Really likes the song. But Robbo and Gorham weren't keen on it at all. But they were overruled, obviously, by Downey Lynott and by the producer. And 35 years later, Robertson has actually recorded his own version of the song. There's a slow version and a normal version on his 2011 album, Diamonds and Dirt. I haven't listened to that album at all, but I'd be interested to listen to it to see how Brian Robertson first envisaged the song to be, but it's perfect for me. It sounds really good. So a 9 out of 10. Very good track. Moving on to the penultimate track of side number 1, Romeo and the Lonely Girl. Another track which was actually brought up as an option for a single by Scott Gorham, but nobody was really overexcited about it. Shame, really. It's a hidden gem, but if it was a single, it wouldn't be so hidden. Again, I'm going to have to refer back to the book every single track next. There's some really nice illustrations. I don't know if this is a track with any illustrations. No, unfortunately not, but again, really nice melody, really nice track. What have I put in the notes here? A good point to make, and this is a very good point I made in my notes, is that this album is very consistent in its quality, and the lyrics really help that. I think as opposed to previous releases, there aren't actually any Robertson or Gorham tracks that they wrote exclusively by themselves. They do get co-writing credits though. Another really great guitar rhythm on this one, and I think that even though they had that dual guitar, you know, scrap that all together, they had a really great rhythm, the band did. Not just the dual guitars, but the bass, the drums, it all came together so nicely, and the vocals as well. And I think that particularly on this album, that really came to light. So Romeo and the Lonely Girl, 9 out of 10. Really good track. So, final track of side 1. Another 9 out of 10. Not quite as good as the first 2 tracks, but again, a very solid track in Warriors. The guitar riff at the start. Oh, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Oh God, I really can't speak today. If the last 2 tracks weren't heavy, this certainly made up for it, didn't it, with that guitar riff at the start. I feel like this lyric's a little bit too simple, though, compared to some of the tracks beforehand, which is a little bit of a shame. I believe that... Oh, is it... I thought this song was in here. Oh, The Warrior, there we go. Track 24. Not track 24, page 24. But, yeah, it's a little bit simple. I am the warrior, I serve the death machine, losers or conquerors all flash past on my silver screen. It just hasn't got it lyrically, for me anyway, compared to the previous tracks. But great guitar and drum work here, and I think I was going to give it an 8, but based on the guitar riff, it's got to be a 9. It's a brilliant track, and really heavy as well. That's what's really nice about Thin Lizzy. I said earlier, you've got the contrast of Running Back being a very much folk track, and this, it's not metal, but it's very much hard rock, and that's what's brilliant about side 1. So 9 out of 10 there. So on side 1, we've got a 10, a 10, 9, 9, 9. So very solid, very solid side 1. So the start of side 2 is track number 6 of 9. One of those we really don't have to hear again, but you can see it's quality. Of course, I'm talking about The Boys Are Back in Town. A lot simpler lyrically than some of the other tracks, but then again, the masses like simplicity. That's why the tracks did so well. The drum and guitar work, brilliant, once again here. Went to number 8 in the UK, number 12 in the US Billboard, went to number 12 in the Billboard Hot 100. That's a bit of a tongue twister. I don't know why it is, but fair enough, it is. I mean, talk about making it across the pond. Number 12. Not really had anything in the US charts beforehand, but number 12. Really good stuff. Actually took 3 months to reach its peak in the US. It just steadily kept going up the charts. And the single came out in the 17th of April and went to number 12 for the 24th of July. Over 3 months to make it to where it got to at its peak. I mean, John Travolta's Lettering was at number 10, so go figure there. But one of the classic rock tracks, as well as Jailbreak. Absolutely fantastic track, and everybody knows it pretty well. There's got to be 1 or 2 people, I suppose, that don't know it, but it's an excellent track, so 10 out of 10 for me. But to contrast that, track number 7. It's the only track on the album that I'm not too keen on, and that is Fight or Fall. And for track 7, I've actually given it a 7 out of 10. It's not bad at all, but it just seems a bit flat. A bit flat to me. It's certainly got good guitar riffage on it, but hasn't got the same quality as the other tracks, at least in my opinion. You know, it's decent, but not in that brilliant category. And I think the track's so brilliant on this album that it sticks out like a bit of a sore thumb. You might love Fight or Fall. Personally, I'm not a fan. So 7 out of 10 for Fight or Fall. And we move on to the penultimate track of the album. Oh, man. The next 2 tracks, I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to spoil it pretty much straight away. These 2 are absolutely awesome. We start with Cowboy Song, 10 out of 10. Easy. The 5th most popular track, actually, by Thin Lizzy on Spotify. But the 2 main singles of this album, Whiskey in the Jar and Dancing in the Moonlight. But at least people know it, I suppose. But it's a great hard rock track with a sing-along quality in the chorus. You know, roll me over and turn me around. Yeah, all that. I don't need to sing to it because my singing voice isn't exactly the best. And I don't think you guys would really appreciate it. Let's have a look at the lyrics. You forget the lyrics sometimes when you listen to so much music, but... brilliant country opening to this track. I really like the I am just a cowboy, lonesome on the trail. You know, that really nice country feel. And then goes to hard rock. Picture at the bottom there. Don't believe a word on the other side. But yeah, really great hard rock track. Really great guitar riffage, as per usual with the dual guitar sound of Thin Lizzy. It was actually released as an edited single at just over 3 minutes long and went to number 77 in the US. Downey co-writes here. And I do love the segment with the guitar where it slows down. It's up and down, up and down. Then we have the great guitar riff, and it really goes to its heaviest possible riff, and it's really nice. Really awesome track. absolute classic, 10 out of 10. So the album rounds out with Emerald, which again is another brilliant 10 out of 10 track. Even though it's a 10 out of 10, I don't rate it as much as some people do. I know I've heard some people rate it as the best Thin Lizzy song or one of the best, and yes, it probably is one of the best, but say it's the best, I think that's a bit OTT, personally. But it's an excellent song, excellent guitar solo. I personally actually prefer the version from Live and Dangerous, but this is great too, and you forget that much of Thin Lizzy's signature material turned up on this album. I mean, I say much. Much of the material on this album is signature, but there is a lot more signature material on the other albums, if that makes sense. There's a great selection here, but all the other albums have a great selection as well. It just highlights how underrated Thin Lizzy were, really. You know, there's such strong material here, and this really encapsulated this final track. And the idea for this track comes with Phil Lynnott's fascination with Irish history and the legends of the Emerald Isle. So that's where the idea stems from. And the only track actually where all members get a co-writing merit. So Gorham actually states that the main riff came from Linnott, but the idea for the harmonies came from Robbo, from Gorham as well. Robbo and Gorham. But one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. You certainly can't doubt that. So, the verdict. On all these album reviews, I always take all of the rates I've given the 9 tracks. So it's 10 out of 10 again for Emerald. I always take the rates I've given the 9 tracks, divide them by 9 in this case, and then give a verdict. Because I feel if I just gave a verdict based off of what I thought of the tracks, I'd say 10 out of 10 straight away. Don't know why I did that. I was going to go more like that. 10 out of 10, but I went like that. Oh well. But this album comes out at quite a low score. I'll get the LP out just to show again. But this album comes out as an 8.4 out of 10. I mean, obviously you've got Fight or Fall and a few 9s in there, so that's why it's brought down a bit. But I was a little bit shocked that it came out so low. I mean, it's a brilliant score. It just shows how good the album is. But a little bit shocked that it's 8.4 out of 10. I suppose 4.2 out of 5, that makes a bit more sense. But 8.4 out of 10, 84%. However you want to colour it. There you go, 8.4 out of 10. Some of the notes I've made, just to summarise really here. One of the highlights of the dual guitars of Robbo and Gorham, absolutely right. Fantastic lyrics, again, excellent lyrics from Phil Lynott. Some great deep cuts as well as the hits, particularly on side 1. I'd probably say that side 1 is the stronger side than side 2, but it also helps as more tracks as well. Jailbreak, Angel from the Coast, Running Back, Romeo and the Lonely Girl. Warriors, obviously that middle 3 are really the deep cuts from the album. Everybody really knows the others. Boys Are Back in Town. Maybe Fight or Fall's a hidden gem, but not one of my favourites. So that 3 from side 1 are really deep cuts. Age from the Coast, Running Back, and Romeo and the Lonely Girl. The first one co-written by Lynott and Robertson, but solely Lynott penned rather, are Running Back and Romeo and the Lonely Girl. And I think you have to question, did Thin Lizzy ever beat this in terms of quality? Obviously, after this, you had the classic era, really, then. This really propelled Lizzy into some real confidence with classics. Obviously, this album, then Johnny and the Fox, Bad Reputation, Live and Dangerous. Obviously, a real great hits compilation, if you like, but performed live. And then Black Rose. Those 4 studio albums are really top quality. But did they ever beat this? I think they certainly came close to, and I think, depending on how I feel on the day, I think it's between this and Black Rose for Thin Lizzy's best album, but this is a really solid effort, and an 8.4 out of 10. I have gone on for 20 minutes. Nothing you can do about that sometimes. I wanted to make this a bit shorter than 20 minutes, but I hope you guys have enjoyed all the same. This is my first Thin Lizzy album review, so let me know what you thought of it. A group that I really do enjoy listening to, particularly at the moment I'm really getting into their music. Some of the later release. Anyway, I've just listened to Thunder and Lightning for the first time, and I'm listening to Renegade at the moment. Quite enjoying some of the tracks on Renegade, so getting into the later stuff as well as the middle range stuff, which is really their best stuff, I think. But if you enjoyed, leave a like down below. Comment your thoughts as well. What do you think of the album? And also subscribe for regular album reviews. There are a few albums that are coming out in the next few weeks, so I want to shine a light on those. I think there's 3 albums coming out in the space of 3 weeks, so an album review every week. And I'm going to try and keep that up, coming up to those albums as well. We've got 3 weeks until those new albums, so this is the first album review. I've got 2 album reviews lined up before the new album review, which comes in 3 weeks' time. Oh dear, doors banged out there somewhere. But yeah, weekly album reviews on the channel, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that, and well worth hitting that subscribe button for down below. Thank you for watching. I've been TIJ Music, Toby from TIJ Music that is. I hope you've enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye for now.